maybe that would make
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay,
And we're
so-
talking about Normal People by Sally Rooney today.
Sally Rooney.
Okay.
So, okay, I love this book. I've read it twice now. And I wondered what you thought about their relationship is so twisted in a lot of ways. And like she says on page 187, I don't know what's wrong with me, says Marianne. I don't know why I can't be like normal people. Her voice sounds oddly cool and distant, like a recording of her voice played after she herself has gone away or departed for somewhere else. In what way, he says. I don't know why I can't make people love me. I think there was something wrong with me when I was born. And he tries to convince her family loves her. And she's like, no, that's not the case. And he tells her he loves her, even when he's messing around with her and denying it at school, back in high school. So I wondered what you thought about their relationship like that. Like clearly the title Normal People comes from here. Later in the book, it says she's normal again. Like at the very end, it says she's just a normal person now. So I wonder what you thought about that with their relationship. Like he says he does love her several times, but he's not always really faithful in that way to her.
Because she's not accepting of it. Like, you know, when neither one of them are really accepting of it. They both, I think each one is the opposite version. Like, I think he is the male version of her and she's the female version of him.
But why is he not masochistic then? Because she's pretty masochistic, that girl, Marianne.
Well, if you allow your father to hit you and you allow your brother to hit you and you allow your mother to abuse you, why wouldn't you be?
Right. But I mean, that's why I don't think he's the opposite, you know, the doppelganger type thing. I don't think they're similar. I think they're quite different, actually, the two of them.
Yeah, but I mean, he, like, you know, in high school, he's like the more popular, he's more comfortable. But then when he gets to college, she's the one who's more comfortable. He's not really comfortable. And he feels inferior. Like, I mean, she feels inferior because her family abuses her. He feels inferior because he's from like a lower social class. His mother cleans houses. And so, I mean, and he went through extreme depression. So did she. Like, I think they were alike as far as they were really, they both went through severe depression.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that they both loved each other. They both just couldn't commit.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Because they're like, when they go to college, they're sleeping together, but they're not committed to each other.
Yeah, but they never lose touch. He compares like whoever he's with basically to her.
Right.
Like she's never out of his, he's always thinking about her.
Right. Right. I asked when I met Tara at Push to Publish event, and I met with an agent at that same event. And one of the books on her list, like I read about her prior to coming to the event, because it was like, they call it a speed date. You meet with them for like 15 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So I looked up her on the agency's website to see what she was interested in. And Normal People was on that list of books she's interested in. So I read it. And I asked her what she thought about it. Like, why did you pick that book? Because it just entranced me, this book. And she said, well, what stands out to me so much is this inability to communicate, that they just don't talk to each other the right way. They don't, he especially that one part where he wants to stay at her house in the summer and he doesn't ask her to do it. So she thinks that he's breaking up with her, and that crushes her. And so like, there's this inability for them, as much as they love each other, to just be honest with each other. And that's what's so tragic about it.
I think it's partly just because they're kids. I mean, I think that's what, like, a friend of mine at work read the book too, and we were talking about it, and she was saying, like, you know, she really liked it a lot and everything. But like our complaint was that it's like, I feel like the book would have been so much, like, I liked the book, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it would have been so much more interesting had they started off with the kids like in high school and they develop a relationship, and then had, instead of just like, they're like what, 22 when the book ends. I mean, they're still kids. They can't tell each other they love each other. They can't communicate because they don't have a prefrontal cortex. They are still not, they're not mature. They, of course they're, yeah, and of course they're sleeping together and they keep falling together because that's what teenagers do. But it's like, I feel like it would have been so much more interesting had she explored the relationship. Like, okay, yes, they're 18 and they fall together. And then at 30, maybe they've both been living with someone and all of a sudden they break up and they come back together. Then maybe they're married and one of them, you know, their partner dies or they get divorced and they fall back together. And then maybe they're elderly and somehow they come back together. That is an interesting book.
Right.
This to me is just, oh, two teenagers getting it on. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like she writes well. I think she's a great writer. I just wish she would have picked a topic that was more innovative. You know what I mean?
And I thought that was going to happen when he didn't ask her to the Debs, whatever that dance was. I thought that's what's going to happen. I thought exactly that. I thought it was going to split off and you were going to see two lives
So
go on. And then it didn't happen.
And then when it ended up just being, oh, okay, now they're, you know, now.
Oh yeah, let's not say this and let's sleep together.
Especially when they had it, like in every chapter was 2 days later, 2 months later, 6 years later, whatever. That would have been a great way to do it. It would have been 15 years later. And here they run into each other at the grocery store or whatever, you know what I mean? Like that to me would have been fascinating. And I would have loved to see how they change and how they stay the same. Like, I feel like there was no character development here. Like they're just two really boring teenagers who are exactly like every other teenager. They can't express themselves. They have sex randomly. It's just like, you know what I mean? They're well portrayed as teenagers, but that's what teenagers are. You know, they're not interesting people. Like I kept reading, like I liked the book, but there was at one point I wrote down, the book is titled wrong. It should be called Boring People.
Yeah.
That is so funny. Because, well, first of all, I teach teenagers, right? So I write a lot about teenagers. I just happen to do so, you know?
And your teenagers are interesting. That's the thing. Yours have personalities and these did not. I felt like they
did not. I loved these characters.
I felt like they were just cardboard nobody.
Why did you love these characters? Because I want to punch them both in the head.
I loved them.
There was neither one. I wouldn't allow either one to mow my lawn. Why would you? Why did you love them? One is a pompous, yes, she's got a bad history. And this guy just, you know, if I had to listen to another paragraph going, let me tell you how smart I am, I'm probably smarter than you. In fact, I know I'm smarter than you because you never won this award that I did. Oh yeah, I'm smarter than you.
Oh, you mean all the awards they win in college?
All the time. No, the whole thing was just about two people that are smarter than you. And let me tell you about these smart people. And they went to this wonderful university.
Smart.
No, I do not want to hang out with them. I would not want to hang out with them.
I just felt my real complaint also was just that, like, we never learn anything. Like, okay, she has like a very bad habit of like, it'll be like, oh, you know, that thing that happened that time. And like, we never saw it. Like all the interesting things happen off the page. Like it's always like we're learning. It's here. It says we're always learning about the action in flashback. And even then it's just like hinted at. It's never, we never see the action. And that's what's interesting. Like them whining about what happened isn't interesting.
You see them as whiny?
I see
all the time.
Self-indulgent and whiny. I see her as poor. I was like, did this author never hear the term poor little rich girl? Because she's really whipping this dead horse.
You know, the thing that really hit me was the fact that I've read great books that don't have a story, but I care about the people. I really care about them. Nothing really happened, but I care about them. I want both of these to be hit by a truck. I don't care about them.
And
I care more about the Crawdad book people than I did about these people.
I think one thing I like about it, that she gets at where she gets at something deeper, is this social class issue, right? That not only is the mother a house cleaner,
come on, that's in everything. Come on.
No, I thought it was great.
No, and it was not great. Come on, that's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's not. And he wants her to read the Communist Manifesto, and he's trying. It's really interesting the way what I felt about this book was that it was gentle. Like it didn't hit me over the head with any specific kind of message. And I liked that. I liked that the characters, I actually did care very much for the characters. And I was kind of fascinated by Connell, how he denies her, right? He's cruel to her. And then yet he says he loves her and he stands up for her in the end. And I just found that really fascinating because I wondered, like, she wants him to hit her. Remember, she says that? I want you to hit me. And he won't do it. He's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And so it made me wonder, like, does he, in some ways, he has bought into abuse toward her in some way. It's not physical, but what he did to her when they were kids, it was abusive.
I don't think I didn't take that at all.
Yeah, I think he was.
I don't think he was.
I think he thinks so too. I mean, he even said there's some parts in there where he's even saying he knows he's not treating her well. Like he knows she'll always come back, and so he feels like he can just ditch her whenever he feels like. So, and like that, like to me, he was the more likable of the two, but that made him less likable when he admitted that he knew he was treating her poorly and did it anyway. Of course, but then you have to, of course, you take it with a grain of salt because he's a teenage boy, and that's what they do. They you know, have you ever met a teenage boy who treats women well? You know what I mean? Like, it's very rare, you know.
I don't think it was just like teenage. I think it was relationships just in general, that if you don't communicate, you know, like what happens when you don't communicate, or if you can't communicate.
Right.
What do you think the message of this book was, or the theme, you know, like how would you describe this to somebody?
Yeah.
Bad book.
Eric, you made that pretty clear as far as
I don't think it's bad. I think she writes very well, but I think, and also she lost me on page 1 when she's refusing to use quotation marks doesn't make you edgy and cool, it makes you lazy. If you can't hit shift quotation mark, you don't deserve to be writing.
It's just a style thing, though.
It's wrong. She's Irish. If I have to struggle to read, if I have to struggle to decide whether it's dialogue or regular narrative, you've gone off the rails.
And somewhere. You know, and I can jump off that. I mean, I've read, was it Precious? Precious had no parentheses or whatever, and I love that book. I love Precious, and I just read News of the World, and it's written in that old style. There's no parentheses, and I kept right along with it. It didn't bother me. But there was just
no quotation marks.
There's no quotation marks. It's just the words. It's just the words.
I hate that.
And you have to, you have to go. Is he talking or is he not talking?
Yeah, and you should.
But after a while,
putting a burden on the reader that belongs on the editor.
Right. But I mean, it didn't bother me after a while. That took a while to get used to. But
okay, so Everett, we know your opinion. Tara, would you recommend this book?
I recommend. I think she can write. I just think that it's a very dull. I found the topic very dull and the characters very boring. And and also like little things. Okay, like here. Okay, on page 178, it says they sat outside at a table on the street, and people walked by carrying paper shopping bags and having loud conversations on the phone. Marianne drank a single cup of black coffee and ordered a croissant, which she didn't finish. Connell had a large ham and cheese omelet with 2 slices of buttered toast and tea with milk in it. Like sometimes details are good because they set the scene and they lend realism, but sometimes they're just goddamn boring.
But isn't that your tell not show thing, or your show not tell?
Yes, this entire book is told. There's no showing whatsoever in this book.
Right.
That's my complaint. There's no action. She always tells you what happened after the fact rather than letting us see it happen.
And I always feel like such a jerk coming to these because I am such a jerk. And if you love this book, I love that you love this book. And I feel bad that I didn't love this book.
Well, I want to say, as far as theme goes, because Laura, you're asking about theme, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that really caught my attention is the epigraph that she has from George Eliot about people changing each other. Like George Eliot's a mouthful, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. She says that the last part is some personality touches theirs, the peculiar influence subduing them into receptiveness. At the end, like the last page, which I find so poignant, that scene between them. is where she says that what they have now, they can never have back again. But for her, the pain of loneliness will be nothing to the pain that she used to feel of being unworthy. He brought her goodness like a gift, and now it belongs to her. Meanwhile, his life opens out before him in all directions at once. They've done a lot of good for each other. Really, she thinks, really, people can really change one another. So I got that from them, that it was about a couple who, in spite of these obstacles, social class and shame and popularity and all of that got in their way, you know, other boyfriends, other girlfriends, that it was about finding your worth and having another person help you find that worth. I thought that stood out to me a lot. And I will say one thing I like about her, the writing, is one thing I struggle with in my writing is with the dialogue, that I don't want it to sound like a screenplay, right? Just this back and forth dialogue.
Right.
So
Right.
one thing I really like that she does, she has two scenes that I really like. One is it's with Peggy, that roommate of Marianne's, and Connell. And Peggy is talking about sex, and Connell's really uncomfortable, and he's peeling the label off
Beer,
of
beer bottle label. Yeah.
and it keeps going back to him in between the dialogue, him peeling the bottle. And then at the end, she's brushing her hair. She's taking a shower and she's brushing her hair, and that weaves in between the dialogue. And I tried to do that actually in the novel that I wrote. I tried to do some of that so the dialogue wasn't just like a staccato, because I tend to do that where people are just speaking right back and forth to each other. But we need narrative in there too. And I thought that was a sweet way to get the narrative in, is to have somebody doing something or focused on something. And I really liked that. I think she's 27. I think
Yeah, she's young. She's young.
Mhm.
I think that's part of what it is I think she's doesn't know yet what it is to be an adult. So she can't write about adults because she's not one. You know,
Well,
she's
she's
just
like
barely one.
27, like she's 27. Like, I mean, how old does she have to be?
To be 25 to have a prefrontal cortex that's fully developed.
Right.
So she's
So
had a
you're
prefrontal
still
cortex for 2
cooking.
years.
Right.
Therefore,
You're still
just barely
cooking
an
until you're
adult.
25.
So she's a 2-year-old adult.
But did
Right.
you ever read, and this is going back, and I forget, it's so long I've read Carson McCullers that I forget it, but she was like a wonderkin, man. She was like in her young 20s when she was writing, and her observations were really incisive for someone of that age, you know. I should pick up something from her again.
Well, maybe we should. Well, that's another thing. We have to remember to pick something to read, because clearly it's just us for today. So,
Yeah.
Lori, did you pick one yet? Because Christine, you picked this one. Everett, you picked Stephen King.
I'm gonna get a drink. We'll be right back.
Technically, Olive Kitteridge was technically me. So if Lori, if you have something you want to pick.
I wanted to do. I've never read Hemingway.
What?
I never read Hemingway, and
What?
I wanted to read. Yeah. What? That's why I would like to.
You mentioned Hemingway because when Tara was reading that excerpt with the food on the table, that sounded Hemingway-esque, because he does that. Like, he'll give you.
That's why I find him so boring. He
Is
focuses on the
he's
dullest
not.
details and then writes
I
about
do
it in these
too.
stuttery sentences.
I've
But
never
no, like-
read. What's the one where he's in the war? For whom the bell tolls? Is that it?
Oh, every novel besides The Old Man in the Sea, he's in the war.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it.
Farewell
That's
to
Hemingway.
Arms
That's
and-
Hemingway.
A Farewell to Arms. That's what it is. A
Farewell to Arms. Is that?
They all
well,
kind of blend together to me.
No,
I read-
actually,
Don't
do you
pick that one. Pick
do
something
you
else.
have a novel in mind?
Yeah,
Do you have
one
a
in mind?
Hemingway novel in mind?
No. Well, why? Do you have a recommendation?
I mean, if I were to go into, intermediate Hemingway light drugs, I would do The Old Man in the Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that?
I don't know if I don't remember if I've read that one.
It's
That
hard.
may be the one I
That's-
haven't read.
It's a beautiful
I think
book.
The Old Man in the Sea is a
No, I
great.
can't stand Hemingway, but
Yeah.
I'd be open to
Oh,
it.
I'm telling
I
you,
have to
it's
say- Oh, go ahead, Everett. I'm sorry.
no, it's. I mean, it's not your heavy heroin, Hemingway. It's a light sort of introductory drug that leads you to him, and I think that Old Man and the Sea is a good choice.
It's a good read. And I wasn't crazy about Hemingway, any of the Hemingway I read, other than his short stories. I think they're bang up, his short stories.
His old short stories. I mean, he should have done that after he had the Mayo Clinic stuff. He should have gone back to that stuff.
Those were good. Those were
his short stories
amazing.
with him, you know, frying
Amazing.
beans on a pan. Nobody has written that well ever.
Yeah. He's, in fact, I think he's better at the shorter form.
Oh,
than the
without
longer.
a doubt.
I read
without
The
a
Sun
doubt.
Also Rises. I started A Farewell to Arms. I couldn't get through it.
Is
So-
it that? Is he dry? Is he dry? Like, he's hard to read?
He's dry. He's not hard to read.
He
He's not
has
Faulkner.
his female people are two-dimensional. He tells a great story.
Or-
What Hemingway does well is he will tell you, here I am in the office in Dover. And what's funny is this thing that happened in Pittsburgh, and then this other thing, and you don't lose a beat. When he does that well, he does that so incredibly well. There's a scene, I can't remember what novel it is. He's looking at the bull, the head of the bull, and the guy it must be The Sun Also Rises, or Death in the Afternoon, where the guy got hurt and he's bleeding and he's looking at this and he's thinking about his childhood and he's thinking about this, and you don't miss a beat. He keeps you in all these time periods just geniusly.
So, okay. Oh, I can't.
I'm in. I bet I can get that really cheap too. So.
No, I think an intro to Hemingway is absolutely The Old Man and the Sea.
Okay, I'm good with that.
That
Just to so I can. I can't believe I haven't read any of his.
Yeah,
I had to read it. I had to read a couple in school.
You need to
Did
turn
you?
yourself in to like the local library or something and
I do.
and
I
hand
go
in
to the
your
library
card.
all the time. I
No,
just
you need to turn in your card and say, I'm so sorry, and then read 9 books and then come back. That's the only way to, yeah.
Oh well,
It is.
that's on our reading challenge. One of the things on our list for this year is a book that you were supposed to read in school but didn't.
I did that.
And I was going through, I was like, oh, the only thing I was supposed to read Moby Dick and I didn't, but I was like, I don't know if I have the patience to read that. I bought it, but I don't know if I'm gonna do. But then I was like, I never read Huckleberry Finn because I hate Mark Twain, can't stand him. And so I got it. You're able to get it for free on the Kindle. So I'm like, and I started reading. I read like half a chapter. I'm like, this is brutal. It makes me want to blow my brains out. It's so boring.
Wow.
I mean, oh my God.
Wow.
Well, how are these classics of American literature when they're so dull, they make you want to kill yourself?
Well, don't you wonder, like, sometimes, like, how, why? It's the same thing on even with a TV show or something or a movie, and it gets like these rave reviews, and then you go to see it and you go, this sucks. Like,
Right.
Yeah, but they had so much going on in them. Like, that's the thing that's hard to grasp. And I was going to do a PhD in lit, so I've read like everything.
Really?
And I had much more stamina, like, because I did that. I'm 47 now, and when I went to grad school, I was only 22. And like I read, like I'm rereading Middlemarch, and I love George Eliot, but she is hard to get through. And when I was younger, I would sit with it, and I could grasp it, and it was interesting to me. But now that's really hard. I think we lose patience, and also we're farther and farther away from the time period in which it was written. So there's some of that too, and we're not reading books like that anymore, so that language is gone. But the Huck Finn is a big book for American lit. That's huge. It's one to read for sure, but it's hard to get through. I think Moby Dick is harder to get through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But at least I feel
For
like there's
sure.
a point to Moby Dick. Like I feel like there's a reason for it. Like Huck Finn, from what I've read, I'd say I read half of it in school. I hated it. It was so, I felt like it was so badly written.
Well, don't read it then. There's so much else you could give your time to.
But there's only 2 books that I didn't read in school that I was supposed to read because I was a nerd and I followed the rules. So those are my only 2 choices if I'm going to do that one. And it's either Moby Dick or Huck Finn. I figured Huck Finn is shorter and easier to get through.
Did any of you
and
read?
it's the only one I have left on my list.
The
And
only one
then I'll be
left.
done. And then I'll be done.
Did any of you read 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez?
no,
Is that the one where all the characters have the same name?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Horrible.
I
I,
can't get
gave up.
through it.
I gave up after like 100 pages. I'm like, this is horribly
I
written.
can't get
What
through
everybody
it. And
thinks is good, they need to all be shot because it's a terrible book.
yeah,
That's-
and I
bad.
like I
That's
like
why I love
Marquez.
Tara. That's the main reason I love Tara. That's it.
Tara,
Out of
what's your,
everything, that's why I love her.
Why?
what's your favorite book, Tara?
I
Wait,
don't have
hold
a
on.
favorite.
Everett, why do you love Tara?
That's the reason, because she doesn't put up with crap with this stuff. Oh, it won this award and it did this. No, it's crap. I don't
I
care
think
how
it's
much.
crap.
If
To
it's
me, it's
crap,
crap.
it's crap. I don't always
Then
agree
don't
with
read
her.
it.
Exactly.
I don't
and
always
I
agree
don't.
with her.
Yeah. And how many book club books have I not read because I said this is too, it's not worth my time. What? F. Scott Fitzgerald, I refused to read.
Yeah.
It was
You didn't read
so
The
bad.
Great Gatsby?
And-
No, I read The
I-
Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby is like it's mediocre, but it's all right. But we tried to. What was it? We tried to read. What was the name of the book?
Oh,
This Side of Paradise.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
that was bad.
I got it in like 20 pages. I'm like, this book is so horribly written.
And Christine, what's funny?
It's so bad. Half of us didn't read it.
And what's funny, Christine, is that I'm so envious of you because you're like in the garden and you're picking the daisies and you're picking
You
the
see
thing
the merits
and you
of
love
things
them
that,
all.
yeah.
And
I
I'm
don't-
so envious of you.
I
I'm
want to
so
like love
envious of
easily.
you.
I
I
fall
want
in
to
love
like
easily.
things and not
Yes,
hate
you
anything.
do. And I'm envious of that. I really am. And my wife just goes, oh, you read the book? Yeah. Oh, you hated it. Well, yeah. And that's a horrible thing because I love books. I love everything about books. But it's just, yeah, I'm so envy you.
Huh. I loved this book. I have to say, I just loved it. And I'll read it again too. I just felt,
Yeah.
I feel sad.
read a
I
lot
feel
of books
sad that you
again.
think that they were boring. It makes me very sad. Because I felt, and
I-
actually, you know what? Sally
I would
Rooney,
not hang out with those people.
yeah, I bet you anything Sally Rooney is just like Connell. I felt like she was like Connell, not like Marianne, but like Connell, because he was the smartest in his class. I guarantee you Sally Rooney is just like that. Smartest in her class.
All right, let me ask you a question. Do you think that your love for it came from the fact that you teach high school kids?
Not at all. Mm-mm.
Really?
Yeah, not at all. And
Because
you
I'm
know
not
what else?
picking on you. I'm just trying to figure out what I missed.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say this, I like a good romance. I do. I like romance in a book,
Oh.
whatever, in a movie, like sometimes, for example, this is just, and I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to get off track, but
Right.
like The Terminator is one of my favorite movies because it's got everything in it, right? And there's a romance at the
Classic.
heart of it, right? So I love a good romance. And also one thing I admire so much about Sally Rooney, she somehow to me makes it interesting without having all this subject knowledge that I have a hard time writing that way. Like in your book, Everett, writing about what prison was like that's really hard. I don't do a lot of research into things when I write, and this isn't the kind of book you really needed to research. So I settled right into it. The only sort of researchy piece is when he's traveling through Europe and they throw like names of cities in there and things he saw. But there's not a lot of like naming of the flowers or.
But see, I'm trying to remember who wrote The Life According to Garp. I'm trying to look over because I know I've got one of
John
his.
Irving. John Irving.
John Irving is like, he dumps so much data on you.
Too much.
Too much.
But it
I
doesn't.
like him, though.
That doesn't bother me. I love John Irving.
But
John
both of
Irving
his
can write
books are good.
badly. He can
Right.
write badly.
You know, though, this book I was thinking about, and I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to get derailed from the discussion of Normal People, but now that we're, I think, waning from that, I will. Have you heard of Call Me by Your Name by Andre Asimov? They made it into a movie and it was very well received. And it's about the exact thing you're talking about. There's this love affair, and then you see them when they're older, much older. And they meet again when they're much older. So it was along the lines of what you had hoped this book would be. It's a beautiful book. Call Me by Your Name, it's called. And
I've heard of it.
yeah, it's excellent. And the movie is just as good if you ever get a chance to see it. It is about a gay relationship, and some people don't, it is physical. It's a physical book. but it's not like prurient in any way, but it does deal frankly with sex. And I just felt like that is a really good one if you're interested in like a relationship that evolves over time. That my daughter read it. She gave it to me to read. So,
See, and it's funny because I did not read the book. Is it The Black Widow? I love the movie, and that was a gay theme, and I loved that. I love that film. Is it The Black Widow? It's about two guys in prison in Spain.
Never heard
I
of
think
it.
it's called Oh, it's phenomenal. It's probably one
Never
of my
heard of it.
greatest
That's
films.
interesting.
And I sort of, gay themes just sort of, I'm a heterosexual male, so they just sort of, but I love this one, like my all-time favorite
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
And I don't know
yeah.
if it was based on a book or not. I got to do some research on it.
Yeah, nothing bothers me. I'll read anything except, well, no, I mean like in terms of taboo stuff. I'm never put off by any of that. The only thing I don't like is like murder or serial killers and stuff. I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's not my bag.
Yeah.
So it's not, I can't put up with it. So I
Well,
don't
if we're talking about gay things, I just, have you read The House in the Cerulean Sea? I think it might be like YA. A friend of mine at work just recommended it recently. I think it's already packed in my bag to bring to my mother. But it was really cute. I mean, it's really adorable. I mean, but it's like at the heart of it, there's like, this, it's there's the two gay guys, but it's like about these children who are like magical. So it's kind of like a fantasy thing, but and they, like, the government runs this program like to monitor children who have magical abilities to make sure like that they don't get out of control. But it was like, it had all these different themes, like if the government is too in control and are they discriminating and all these things. But it was just, I thought it was really, really cute. I mean, I thought it was just really, The House in the Cerulean Sea. Yeah, I just read it this past week. I mean, well, it was like the kids were younger, but I think it might be like a YA book, but
yeah, I've read a lot of YA recently, like just threw myself into it and read like everything I could. Because my second novel was more young adult in nature. The characters were teenagers, even though two of the narrators were like, well, it was third person this time. So two of the narrators, third person from the mother's perspective. But when I sent it out to agents, that didn't seem like that was what it was billed as. They were thinking young adult. So I'm like, well, let me see what the young adult market is like. So I've read like a bunch of stuff. And it's good. There's good literature out there in that market.
Yeah, these days it's like there's really not that much of a line between young adult and adult anymore,
Right.
It's
And
much
I don't
more
even know when
sophisticated than it used to be.
yeah, and I don't even know when the term came about anyway. When did that, you know what I mean? When we were kids, there was no young adult.
No, it was just
There was books, children's books, and that was it.
Right.
Yeah.
But but young adult existed back then, because I just remembered, like, I don't remember, one of the things on the list was something for the reading challenge. I was like, you know what, I want to read some of those old Lois Duncan books from back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so I ordered a couple, and wow, like
The Giver.
At some time around like 2005, I think they went through and updated them a little bit, at least as much as they could. Like they added cell phones and things like that, so it wasn't as antiquated. They're still way dated. Like I reread
cell phones. I hate when they
I know, it was just so weird. Like I reread Daughters of Eve and Down a Dark Hall, and they're definitely still like very, like, kids today would be like, what is this? Because it's like, so it just feels so like naive, like the way we were back, back in our day.
Well,
but they were so cute. They were so fun to read. It was just,
they're still making kids read Catcher in the Rye. So, and my son right now is reading Huck Finn for school.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
He is.
And I love it.
He's 16. So he's reading. Yeah, that teacher has. I don't even do traditional lit anymore. I do a lot of lower level students, and we read the Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, which is a lot of pictures in there. And it's about based on Sherman Alexie, who actually was one of those people that got caught up in the Me Too thing that a few women had accused him. Yeah, he's Native American. And when he was a child, he didn't have any opportunities on the res for a good education. So he went 22 miles away to a white school to get a better education. And it's about that, the trials he faces as a kid. And my students tend to like it. There's, like I said, there's drawings in it. He wants to be a cartoonist. But I used to teach the Kite Runner, but I ran out of time. They put a lot of primacy on nonfiction texts. So we don't do a lot of literature. I bring short stories in. I have one of mine. They don't know it's from me. I put a pseudonym on it. So
You did the Kite Runner?
you're the Kite Runner. Mhm.
No, I'm trying to get through
when
that,
I
and it's
read
more
that book-
difficult than I thought.
What?
The Kite. I'm trying to get through the Kite Runner because I've never read it.
When I
And
finally
I'm,
read,
and
I
I'm
read
finding
it.
More
I
difficult?
hated it.
You hated it, really?
I got to the end and I was like, oh, well, of course that kid was, I can't remember it very well, but I was like, I felt like it was insulting to my intelligence. Like if I felt like I knew what the twist was from page 3. And when that turned out to be correct, I was like, really? I had to read 250 pages or whatever it
And
was
you know what we need?
just
We
to
need your
have
help
be
with.
so obvious. I felt like it was insulting to my, I honestly felt like they thought I was a moron.
Oh,
And this
I
is
love
what we-
I
that.
felt like they were trying to say you're stupid and I'm smarter than you. And I was like, I was insulted by it, honestly.
I love that book.
I like
The
the
one I liked his second one. I can't think of what the second one.
1,000 Splendid Suns.
I
yeah.
didn't read it because I was so mad by the
A Thousand Splendid Suns was,
The third one is the best. I just read it. It's called And the Mountains Echoed.
and I hated that. I
Oh
hated.
my God, it was so good.
See, it
so good.
just goes to show you that everybody's tastes are like.
And this is
Yeah, it
what
was-
we
you
need
know
your
what it
help
was?
with, Christine.
Huh?
This is what we need your help with. You are the fairy princess. You come in and you see beauty and elegance everywhere. And Tara and I are going, well, that's crap and that's wrong. And why did he do that? And it's missing the fact that we love books.
You're funny.
And we did, and it's such a miserable existence because I have more books that I won't finish because I'm going, oh crap. You need to teach us. You need to
see the beauty in the world because all I see is raw sewage. You know?
But I will say I can get into sci-fi if it's dystopian, but I cannot get into fantasy. I don't know why. I just can't let myself go. I did read a cute one, a YA, called The Weight of Feathers. And this guy was growing feathers and the girl was like a mermaid and she had like these little things on her that mermaids have. But it was cute. It was a cute love story. Again, I'm a sucker for the love story. So it was well written, but fantasy is a tricky one for me. If you make me read fantasy, I might not be nice to you, or like the Lord of the Rings, forget it. No way am I reading
That's
that.
not for me.
That's kind of silly.
No.
So, Everett, you're not liking the Kite Runner?
I liked it. In
Trying
fact, it's
to-
funny.
It's on my 11 books that I've got, and I start this and I go back, and the Kite Runner is on there. It's right on my desk right now. But I'm into, he's talking about his friends, and I'm just going, I'll put it down
Yeah.
again. And
I liked it. And it's
I
really
want to
funny
read it.
because my friend and I wrote a curriculum unit on it. And for this place called the Center for Learning, and they paid us $1,000 to write it.
What?
And it must be one of their best sellers because it was on their website, like on the front of their website, the Kite Runner. So because there's no royalties on it, you know what I mean? Right. So it was $1,000, so we split it 500 each. And so, and that was my first real publication, but I think if we got royalties, I might be a lot richer right now.
I want to like it.
I like the exposure to Afghanistan because
yes.
That's what I liked about
yes.
it because I never really had given much thought to it at all, and the fact that that they had I just always thought of it as a third world country. I didn't realize that at one point it wasn't, and that they had. I like that a lot.
I agree with you.
And what's funny about this book that bothered me, and I remember reading about it, this normal people thing, is I remember reading about different cultures and going, I really don't care about the story, but I like the fact that a biscuit's called this, and this is called this, and this is called this. And it reminded me of Billy Liar, which was written in the 50s and I read like 9 times. And Billy Liar is about this guy who cannot tell the truth to save his life. He's all over the place. He just is in so much trouble. And he has so many ways out that he never takes it. And I'm going, why can't this book, this normal people book, be like Billy Liar? Because I don't, even if the story wasn't good, I still would have been drawn in with the fact that I know where the pub is, and I know this guy, and I know this other guy hates him, and I know this girl thinks that he's going to marry him, and none of and it was all the cultural things that I never saw there. And for stories set in Ireland, I mean, when I read Angela's Ashes, I knew everything there was to know about 1929 Ireland. This, it was just like they placed it there. It bothered me.
Yeah, I feel like this book just, it felt like it didn't have a real setting. Like it could have just been anywhere. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I felt,
I
well,
like that.
I mean, that can be a good thing, but then set it somewhere where it's generic, because like nobody in America, which is by the way where you're selling most of the copies, knows what the Debs is, and nobody
Yeah,
knows
but we can
what.
figure it out.
But it doesn't
I
bother
want it to be a
me.
good story that draws me in and takes me on a ride. I don't want to have to work. This is my
Oh,
Yeah,
leisure.
but
this
it
is
doesn't.
the
It
job.
didn't bother me that I don't know what the Debs is. I figured it out.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
But
the
I
figured it
wanted
out
more
too,
of
but
that.
yeah,
I
but it
wanted
just,
more of that.
but call it the
Yeah.
prom, because that's what normal people call it. You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
like that. I like how you got to figure it out a little. And like, I like when she goes shopping, Lorraine goes shopping. And I love Lorraine's character, by the way. I like how she makes Connell get out or drop her off because he's being a dick to Marianne. They put
I
stuff in
think
the
she was
press.
the only character that was really developed.
She's
well.
the only
I
one I
really
like.
liked her.
I thought,
Yeah.
I thought she was
I liked
a
her
really
too.
well developed
Yeah.
character. Yeah.
And they're putting stuff in the press. And I'm like, what's the press? I'm like, oh, it's a pantry. It's a cabinet. And then the trunk is the boot. They put stuff in the
Yeah.
boot.
Yeah.
I figured that out. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
It's
just
just-
figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but it
But
just
see, I wanted more of that.
either more of it, or it either needs to be more of it and actually drawn like in such a way that the setting is important to the story, or
Right.
it needs to be removed so that it works for anywhere. And I feel like she
See,
did
Christine, you
exactly.
actually make me kind of sad because you are the ultimate reader, and you're just So you either got to stop coming to these things, or I've got to be a better person. I don't know which one it is.
No, it just goes to show you that, I mean, like, everybody has different taste.
Yeah, but she's amazing. I mean, she likes it all. I mean, that's the love, and I miss that. I think I did have it one time.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I miss reading a book and like when you finish it, you didn't want it to end. And or there's like some sort of revelation, or you can't wait to tell somebody else,
Right.
like, you got to read this book. It's hard to find. Those books are hard to find.
Yeah.
You know,
They
it's-
didn't used to be.
I felt like
You know what's
it
funny
was-
is my youngest son and I have this thing where we're watching old movies together. So 2 or 3 times a week, go through and we'll watch like an old Burt Lancaster movie or an old John Wayne movie or something that we've heard about, we've never watched. And what's really interesting is some of these things we're going, wow, that was really good. And most of them are going, wow, that was crap. Why was that so popular? That was horrible. Did you see what was the whole plot of that? But it's really interesting because it's these things that you were spoon-fed on the fact that, John Wayne's Legendary is a classic. And then you finally go in and watch it and you go, no, that just didn't make any sense at all.
Well, I remember I saw this movie a long time ago called Shadowlands. Do you hear of it?
I've heard of it.
It's about C.S. Lewis. And
Heard of it, but I don't know that I've
he
seen
has a
it.
student. He has a student in his English class, and the kid reads voraciously. And he asks him, why do you read? And he says, I'm looking for myself. I don't want to be alone, and I'm looking for myself. And I think that that's what I do when I read. I look for myself, and I think that that's why I'm not disappointed, because I always find myself in the characters when I read. So like Connell, I just felt when he ditches Marianne from the Debs, I just felt, I don't know if I marked a page, but you can feel that agony he's in. And then there's a part later where his friend is like, yeah, we all knew you were doing her. you know, and then he feels like, oh,
Yeah, I did like that part.
he had compromised his happiness and hers for no reason. Nobody cared. And he's just distraught for that. Like that pulls me in. So I think that's why, like, I like so much of what I read. If the book is good, if it's a good book, that I can see myself in it. I can see a flash of myself in there. Provided the characters are good, you know.
I think that's it. I think that's what it is. That's why I read too. And I feel like in the past 10 years or so, I feel like I never find myself in the characters or in anything the author has to say. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're all just either I have changed a lot.
Yeah, but Christine has a joy about it that I miss.
No, I feel like I felt like that in my youth, and I feel like now I don't. I feel like.
Oh wait, can I ask you? Can I ask you how old you are? Can I ask you?
I will be 49 on Monday.
Oh, you're not much older than me.
No, we're like, oh yeah, I'm only a smidge older.
We're like sisters. Yeah.
You're my sister's age.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read this sentence. This is about Connell. It says he doesn't find himself saying weird stuff during sex. He doesn't have that persistent sensation that he belongs nowhere, that he will never belong anywhere. Marianne had a wildness that got into him for a while and made him feel that he was like her, that they had the same unnameable spiritual injury, and that neither of them could ever fit into the world. But he was never damaged like she was. She just made him feel that way. And that goes back to, Lori, what you were saying about how they're kind of similar. I think there he's trying to force the idea that they're different, that he doesn't want to believe that he has a kind of spiritual injury, you know, that she had a sort of wildness. He tries to push her away, constantly push her away, but they might be more similar than he thinks they are, you know. I liked that passage a lot. I earmarked that one. That was good. So,
I need to earmark. I know. I look at you. You mark your books.
And it's always something negative. And I feel like, and I know that it's my job to find the negative. Like, I get that. Like, and maybe that, oh God, I just thought of something. I've been an editor for 25 years, and it's around then that I stopped liking books. Like, I still love to read, but it's, oh my, wow. Okay. Insights.
It's you like, can never be Christine. You can never.
No, not anymore. I was when I was younger. I loved everything, and I saw the beauty and everything. And now all I see is how poorly this was edited, and how how much better it could have been developed. And I think
the flip side of that is a writer, because you go, oh my gosh, you did this and I hate you, or I could do this so much better. Why did you get all this attention? So I think the writer does the same sort of thing that an editor does.
Oh, yeah, we get jealous. Do we get jealous?
I don't.
I get jealous.
I get jealous of stuff I don't like, and I don't like 90% of the stuff, because that's why I'm so envious of the fact that you love everything that's written.
No, I don't. Not everything.
You do, but you find beauty in all of it.
Serial killer fantasy, just to have her. I want to see some loathing.
Yep, that's it. Put a serial killer in, I'm gone.
I think I'm between you guys. I'm like, Christine loves it, Tara and Everett hate it, and I'm like in the middle. It's like it's pretty
much. Yeah.
I don't think I would
recommend hate it. I didn't, and
like, I'm not really sure. I'm still not really sure what she was trying to say. Like, it was.
I don't think she was sure what she was trying to say. That's what I think. I think that's what the problem is. I don't think she knows herself yet I think.
Oh, it's still what I said. You weren't listening to me.
I like what you said.
That people can change each other. Yeah, but I don't think.
I like what you said.
Do that yet.
I like what you said, but I don't like to have to dig for it. It was like, if you didn't point it out, it would have went right by, I wouldn't have picked up on, I like it to be a little clearer.
You know what, Tara? You know what I'm interested to see if you like? They're busy reading, and we're not going to read this for book club, but there's this book, this young author. She is young. She's probably younger than 27, Emma Klein. And the book is called The Girls. and it's about these girls in a cult, like a Manson cult. And
Heard of that?
yeah,
Okay.
it's basically the point of view of one character,
Okay.
but I thought the writing, oh, I would give an arm to write the way she wrote that
Wow.
book. It is beautifully written. And so I wonder what you think about it, like the story and the, if you get time
Yeah.
to read it. I know we're not going to do it for book club, but if you do read it, I'd like to talk about it with you, because
Yeah.
I read it in quarantine. It was one of the first books I read in quarantine, which was, can you believe it, guys, about a year ago now? They closed down school about a year ago now.
It's
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Today's
Yep.
exactly a year.
Yep. I'm freaking out thinking about it because it was such bad memories. Like, we had to get everything together in school. Like, they closed it a day before they said they would, and my gym closed, and everything was like, oh my God, do I have enough toilet paper? All of that stuff. It was scary. It was really scary, but I read it right at the beginning. So it's of quarantine, so it stays in my mind really strong, but it is about cults and about a young girl who's sort of drawn into the cult by another girl that she's attracted to. The writing is incredible.
Yeah, I think I heard it. I think somebody else recommended that to me. So
I'd be interested to see if you like
Yeah.
it, because I did a lot, and you're hard to please. So,
I try. It's just I'm obviously I didn't dislike this one. It's just I found
boring.
it's my job to find. I found it a little boring, and I think as okay, what I wrote in the beginning here is that, where did I put it? Okay, I had this teacher in college who would take our the essays and stuff that we would write, and he would say, he's like, you guys can write, but there's no teeth. There's nothing to it. You know what I mean? And that's what I felt like it was here. It's like, and I feel like there's no real insights. There's nothing that's substantial. There's no teeth. And my question is it because she's young and hasn't really lived enough to know what the answers are? Like, hasn't really lived through enough to know? Like, she obviously, I think that's why she couldn't write the book the way I feel like it should have been written, like showing at different ages.
30 and 40
Or is
and
it just
50.
that she's a dull person who's never going to have really any perspective?
Right.
That's that's
Right.
where that's what but
I wish, oh my God, I would just love to be able to write, she's been in the New Yorker. Like, I'm so jealous of these people, and so young to have, they have a whole career ahead of them. Like, they are so lucky. Like, I know
but that's, but what about if you, I mean, no.
then that's a part, I think Everett's trying to say that's what's wrong with publishing, is that these people who really aren't that great yet are being treated like they're amazing.
And you're 27 and you're
it's
so you don't have to
so they're
get
never
better.
going to develop, because they're just going to keep cranking out the same thing over and over, and it's always going to be this kind of mediocre.
And people will buy it because
they think it's great because they've been told it's great.
Yeah, but how do
the New York Times says so.
How do you get to the point where you get the New York Times to say what you've written is
Who
great?
cares?
You have to pay them lots of money, and then they'll declare you great.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm on Amazon. I'm on
20
Amazon
grand.
right now, right? It has, you know how many reviews this has? 26,498 reviews, 4 stars.
Yep.
What the
Doesn't surprise me.
Type in your name, because you're on you should be on Amazon, Christine.
Me?
Yeah, type in your name and see if the Secrets book comes up.
Well, I self-published one that shows up.
The Secrets book should come up.
Really?
Yeah, because I typed it in the other day.
Yes, Tara.
Everett
Oh
comes
my God.
up, you come
Have you
up,
seen it
everybody,
before?
all of us come up. So yeah.
That is awesome. Oh, and the
Isn't that
Kite Runner
incredible?
curriculum unit comes up. Haha.
Right.
That is awesome. Thanks, Tara.
That's pretty cool. And
That
I
is
got to see your
amazing.
face when you saw it for the first time.
And we have it on video.
We have it on video.
Oh. All right, so we're doing Hemingway, The Old Man in the Sea for next time.
Yeah.
I think let me see. I don't remember when the next one is. They're all scheduled through June, I think. But let me look. Events.
Christina, I wish I could say I'm gonna be more like you, but I know I'm not.
It's okay. Be yourself.
I know I'm not. It's like saying I'm gonna lose weight. No, I'm not. I'm
How
not.
about you
Eighth.
hang on to, how about like you hang on to a sentence or two? Like I read from the book. I always try to read from the book at the book club. So bring like with Hemingway. Well, actually, that's a slam dunk for you. Don't you like that book already?
Well,
You already
yeah,
like that
but I
book.
mean, yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff with Hemingway. Hemingway, are you kidding? I throw Hemingway out like fortune cookie. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got some classic lines.
Yeah.
So your
Pick
your
some
view
lines.
is to in every book that I find a sentence.
Find
Make it
something.
light.
All right,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah. There's that beautiful thing. I think it was Nietzsche. He said that. I think it's called the eternal recurrence, that like life is full of suffering, right? So
Right.
if you can find this one thing in life that you could hang on to, then life is worth living in spite of all like the shit that surrounds it. So look, think about the book that way. Find like a sentence or two you can grab onto that really, or a passage, even if the
Yeah.
book sucks.
I can do that. I
You can do
find a
that.
sentence. Yeah.
So
I can do
Everett,
that.
you like Stephen King? Are you a big Stephen King?
I'm not a Stephen King fan at all.
Me neither.
I've read,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I
I'm
read
not.
a couple that I really liked that everybody else hated. I'm not I've read very little Stephen King. I've probably read 3 of them.
Oh, I
Um,
thought that they said the 11, what was it, 11 3?
11/22/63, because I listened to the book on tape, which was like a performance. It was so incredible. But I didn't never read the physical book. I listened to the book on tape like multiple times when I was traveling. And the guy that did it is like off the charts. And I thought it was a great story, but everybody didn't like that. So, but I'm not a
But we
Stephen
didn't-
King
yeah.
fan.
Those of us who actually read the book, I couldn't even. I got about halfway through, and
Yeah, my
I had
wife
to stop.
didn't like it.
It was
My wife
it was
didn't
so
like it.
bad.
She likes
I
everything.
couldn't. I'm sorry. Life is too short for a book that's this thick
Oh,
Yeah.
it's huge.
and was boring from page 1. And by page 300, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't.
But the performance, the guy that does it should be, I mean, he should be showered
Yeah,
with
clearly
rose
he's
petals.
talented.
I mean,
Unlike
he is so incredibly talented. Yeah.
Tara, what's one of your favorite books?
I can't think of anything anymore. That's the problem. I'm like, my mind goes blank every time you guys ask. I don't know. Like these days, I either read books for work, or I read like guilty pleasure books. Like I read Ellen Hildebrand or Jodi Picoult, or like the books that they're a little trashy.
Jodi Picoult. Jodi Picoult's not.
But it's like, they're like I wouldn't declare them great literature, but there's a good story there most of the time, and that what I mean, like, and in my spare time, but like if I'm going back, like I like old stuff. I like Edith Wharton. Everybody hates her. I think she's brilliant.
Oh my gosh. I wrote my honors thesis on Edith Wharton.
Oh,
I did. I loved her. And everyone hated her. Yeah, everyone hated her.
Yeah, everybody. I think she's brilliant. I think she was so ahead of her time. I mean,
brilliant.
I mean, I'm still reading. Like, I really only just I mean, obviously I read Ethan Frome and The Age of Innocence back in like school, but then like a few years ago, I read House of Mirth, and then I started like kind of like I'm slowly working my way through now. She wrote a lot of books, and like everyone, there's something in there that is like, you're like, wow. Even like if it's like, even if sometimes it's like a little bit old fashioned, or like it seems boring, there's always something in there that you're like, she nailed that,
And she does the social class piece so well. Like Henry James is sort of her, like the male equivalent, I guess.
I like Henry James too. I mean, he can be wordy and long-winded, but I like him too. He's rough, but
he's hard to get
where
into.
She's easy compared to him. She's much easier to read and more, but I
love her.
Old fashioned. But I love her. Yeah, she's
I think Age of Innocence has to be one of my favorites. Age of Innocence has to be one of my favorite books of all time. It's just really incredible.
That Edith Wharton too?
Edith Wharton, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I put that Billy Liar link in.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that
chat.
too. I'm gonna order that with the.
But that's what I was hoping this book would be, because you feel like by the end of it, you feel like you could live in South England and know exactly what to order and exactly what to drink. But it's a great story. I mean, it's phenomenal. Now, I've read some of his other stuff and it's not as good, but this is amazing. But it's dated. He wrote it in the 50s, but it's still a great book.
You know, that my father's name was Billy and he
Mm.
was a liar. I have to read the book.
Oh
Like,
God, it's a phenomenon. You know
I
what's
have to
funny
read.
is I saw it when we first got cable in the tiny town I was in, and we got the BBC, and they made a version of a black and white version of it called Billy Liar, which I thought was the most phenomenal film I'd ever seen. And then like 20 years ago, I'm in the a college library, and I go, holy crap! That's actually a book. And I read the book and I loved it. I mean, the movie is just as good, but the book is just phenomenal, phenomenal.
Okay,
And
so
that's that.
I wrote all these down. I need to know who recommended them. Call Me by Your Name. Did somebody?
Yeah, yeah, Andre Asimon, I think Acimon. If here, let me go to Amazon because I want to make sure I spell it correctly for you.
Yeah, well, I could look it up. I'll look it up. I just want to know. You're the one who said you liked it. Who said The Black Widow?
The Black Widow is, yeah, that's an absolutely incredible film and an absolutely incredible movie. And I should make sure I got the title right.
You want me to spell it for you?
No, because I'll just look them up. But I just want to know like who. And how about The House in the Cerulean Sea?
That's me. That's by
Cerulean Sea, right?
Cerulean Sea. Yeah.
Oh,
I think the author is T.J. Klune. But I liked it. I thought it was cute. It was like, it was a cute story. High praise.
All right, I lied to you. It's called Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Oh, it's a great film, and it's funny because I always thought I was a little, homophobic, but that was, I mean, it was. I love that. I just love that film. I love the film and I love the book.
But say it again. It was Kiss of
the Spider Woman. Yeah, it was by Manuel Puig, and the movie was just as good. It's just this guy in prison. He's a gay guy in prison in Spain, and he just loves these old films. And it's just a phenomenal book, phenomenal film. And I guess that's part of the problem is the fact that I hold everything up to that level. I hold everything up to that. And if you're not there, then I hate you. And I want to be more like Christine.
Oh, my phone is ringing.
Yeah, well, if you really want to be more, then you have to like things. But I know what you mean. It's like, I mean, when you read it, you end with a feeling of either, I don't like ending it with the feeling of like, did I like this or not? I want to know.
If a great book has me depressed at the end because it's over.
Yes.
And that never happens anymore. Like now, even if I'm enjoying the book, I'm ready to be done with it and start the next book. You know what I mean? Right. So that's not good. Yeah. I remember when I was younger reading, I'd get to the end and I'd be like reading slower just to try to make it last longer. And now I'm just like, let's go. And like, that's not good.
Yeah, it's hard to, I had the Olive Kitteridge book, that one had me thinking for Olive Kitteridge.
Oh, yeah.
That one had me thinking for, like, I really liked the way that she wrote that. In the whole 13 stories. I thought, I mean, it wasn't like the book that, I like a book that stays with me too, that I am thinking about afterwards, as far as like what was their message or like I just thought she was really creative in the way she wrote that.
It always comes down to the characters, and I just feel like that one, like the character was so well developed. That's why I like that book so much. But wow, we've gone like we never go over. That's
no,
crazy.
I'm sorry I had to leave. What happened was my friend just called me because someone at work is trying to get vaccines. And she called me and said they might be able to get my in-laws in on Saturday.
Oh,
That's
nice.
So I just threw in, I just texted her their birthdays and their names. So
Nice.
yeah, so I was telling them, Everett, I don't think you came in, they're 83. So they need to get it, you know, and they're not
Yeah.
healthy at all. They're very overweight. They can't get around, you know. So anyway, we're very worried because my kids are in and out of the house. You know, I'm teaching. So, you know, we could bring stuff home.
All right, so we're already over. I'm so proud of us. We actually talked about the book, and we talked like for
We talked about how
well
much we
over
want
the
to
time.
be
So I'm
like
proud of us.
Christine, and how she's so much better than us. Yeah.
All right, so next meeting is April 8th.
Okay.
I'll post it tomorrow on Facebook with the link and everything. But and if you go on our website, it's up there. But so it's The Old Man in the Sea, and I'm gonna try really hard to like it.
First of all, it's a short book. You could finish it in a couple hours. I mean,
I hope
it's
so.
hard not to like. Even a non-Hemingway, you know, person like you you can't not like it. You really can't. Actually, you can like it. Yeah, you cannot like it. You'll find
Yeah,
it.
you can't use the word can't.
No, you're right.
Because challenge
It's
accepted.
a simple story. And what's funny is that's what Hemingway was great at. He was just great at that simple story. But then he got all weird, and then he tried to create female characters that were two-dimensional, and then he just, you know,
That's
then
how
he
he felt
just got,
about women. I think he thought women were
he
nothing
just
but
thought he cannot create a
objects.
female character at all.
No.
But The Old Man in the Sea is him at his purest. And you're nodding like you're doubting me.
I'm going to try. I'm going to order it right now.
All right.
Have you ever read it before, Tara?
I don't remember. I've read most of his, but I don't remember reading that one. So if I read it maybe in like high school or something, maybe I don't remember
very
though.
simple
So,
story.
but they all run together to me. Like I couldn't tell you at all the difference between Farewell to Arms, Sun Also Rises. They all just kind of they're all just so similar.
This is a very short, concise story.
Right.
So it's
Well, how does everybody keep track of what they read? Do you write down what you read?
Yeah. I have a notebook. Well, I have notebooks. I've been going back for about 10, 15 years where I write down everything I read, the date I finished reading it. And sometimes I'll write down what I thought of it, but most of the time I don't bother because, you know, I read so much, you know, it's like,
right.
I used to spend some time and actually write, but I was like, you know, it got to be like, when am I ever going to read this again? You know, like to actually read my notes about the book again, you know, so I don't normally bother anymore, but.
I write down what I do the same thing. I write down like the date that I finished it, name. I might write down character names or just something so I can remember basically what the book was about.
That's what I should start doing because it's like my list is just, and my handwriting is appalling. It's like I can't even read it. Sometimes my list on Goodreads won't match up with my list, like the number of books at the end of the year, and I'll be like, okay, what did I miss? And I'll try to read through my list to tell, and I can't tell because my handwriting is so bad. So yeah.
Fun.
Good.
All right, everyone.
All right. So thank you guys. And I'll see you next time. Oh, and well, before that though, come to the book launch on the 27th. Lori, tell the writing people if they feel like coming on the 27th, on Saturday, the 27th, we have that book launch. If you guys feel
what
like
time?
Coming, 3:00 in the afternoon.
At 3 o'clock?
It's on Facebook, I think. So.
And what do you mean book launch? What are you launching?
Our book about writing that we have, where it's going to be like just we're just going to do like, thank you, Everett's holding it up. It's I can't remember the name. Secrets most writers and publishers will never tell you. I can't remember the name of the book. I've got a copy right here and I can't remember. But we're just going to do like a meet and greet kind of thing like this, kind of like one of our happy hours, but hopefully with people who aren't from the company. And we're going to have like some door prizes we're going to give away. We're going to give away some books, and we're going to give away, one person will get a free critique of their manuscript. So if if they write and they want to send in like a manuscript for us to tell them what we like and what we don't like, just to so it should be fun.
And how do you feel about more members to the book club? Are you
It's on oh, here, let me put it in. It's on Meetup. I created a Meetup.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so if you look for Blydyn Square Books or Blydyn Square Book Club or whatever on Meetup, or look for me or whatever. I meant to message it to you last week and I forgot. Yeah, I created a writers group and a book club.
You're doing a writers group too?
Yeah, right now it's just all the only events I have on there are the happy hours and the book launch. But long term, we're gonna kind of do like critiques and stuff if you want to send in your work to each other and that sort of thing. So, so if you or any of the other writing people are interested, feel free to join. So,
well, also, if you, Christine or Everett, we do a writing group, and it's basically just time set aside to write on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna try to start going again. It's just been rough because, and it's not as easy for me. Like when we used to meet in person, it was great because I was like stuck there at the library and I got a lot of writing done. And then we switched to Zoom with with COVID, and like, yes, I was still doing it, but like, it was so easy to like, be like, I'm gonna have lunch now instead. And, it was just, it's harder. So, and I write every day either way. So it's like, I don't need it, but I do miss the camaraderie.
Yeah, we have some interesting conversations. So, all right, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
All right, thank you. That was fun.
Bye. Thank
That
you.
was fun.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Good night.